Okay, so today is the 25th of March. We have 41 days to go until we end this cycle here in Zimbabwe. So I am just over halfway. Halfway was 45 days, so this week has marked kind of the halfway point of this journey, of this cycle. I have marked this time by, I'm not sure if you can tell, being ill again. This time a little bit more severely. So yeah, I've been really quite unwell. It's come from hopefully is the wrong word, but it's come from either drinking contaminated water accidentally or eating contaminated food. The good thing and the hopeful thing is that with some really heavy antibiotics and Cipro, that I will be back on the road to recovery soon. It's not been ideal. The major thing that we needed to rule out was typhoid, which probably sounds a little bit silly, probably makes me sound a bit like a hypochondriac. However, people need to realise that actually here, if you display the symptoms that I've had, it is quite likely that you have typhoid. A young man, he was 30 up the road, he passed away earlier this week from typhoid, and it was quite a severe risk that I did have it. Thankfully my results have come back negative for that, and they reckon it's some other kind of E. coli bug, just not the typhoid strain. So if not treated, it could be quite severe, and could make me incredibly ill, or incredibly more ill than I already have been. But thankfully my host family has been amazing. Restless have been very supportive, taking me to the hospital. I got admitted overnight. I've had blood tests done. It's been quite a long process, but thankfully I can quite happily say that I've not got typhoid, and it's not developed into typhoid fever either. So that is a big relief. It's not quite how I wanted to spend my halfway point, taking a week in bed, trying to recover, trying to regain my strength, but it's what I have to do, so that's fine. It might actually be quite good for me to have a week off, because I'm working myself incredibly hard and not really stopping, but that's just me as a person. I was up till 1:30 planning the other night, ready for some things for the Mufakase campaign yesterday. Not everyone would do that, that's just who I am, that's just my work ethic, but obviously here in adverse conditions as well, different conditions, probably not the best thing to be doing. So again, big learning curve, maybe take a step back, be a bit more relaxed about things like they do over here. But yeah, so as I mentioned, it was the Mufakase campaign yesterday. I did go. I managed to go for a little bit. I wasn't that involved because it was one, their campaign, and two, I really wasn't feeling that well. But it was a huge success. The Mufakase team did phenomenally. The amount of engaged school children throughout the day was really incredible, and just the mix of speeches from different charities, from the police about sexual abuse, from Restless Development. Then they had dramas and poems and plays. They had a wushu performance, which was a mix of martial arts, gymnastics and acrobatics, which was just absolutely incredible. Wouldn't pass health and safety in the UK, that is for sure, with absolutely no mats or 3-person towers on a concrete floor, so thankfully they didn't fall and none of the tricks went majorly wrong. That would have been quite an incident, but yeah, they did absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really glad that I got to see that day and experience it. Very proud of them, and for sure they've made a difference in somebody's life. So you can hear Deliso banging on the door. He's 2. He's the host's grandson here. He's a bit confused because normally I play with him a lot, but obviously I'm hiding away because I'm not very well. So he doesn't understand why Megan can't play today, and why Megan won't open the door. Bless him. I just kind of wanted to do a roundup as well of kind of this month and my thoughts so far. You know, people, you know, messaging you like, oh, I hope you're having a great time, hope you're, you know, having fun, you know, you're enjoying it, this kind of thing. And I think the most important message I would give to someone wanting to do ICS or something, ICS in a such a politically different country, is you need to figure out why you want to do it. Has this experience been life-changing? Absolutely. Am I changed as a person because of it? Absolutely. Will I ever forget it? No. It was something I will remember for the rest of my life. But would it be my definition of fun? No. Have there been fun moments? Absolutely. You know, there have been small moments that, you know, I would describe as fun. But, you know, people have got to realise that it is stressful and sometimes complicated and frustrating and takes a while to adapt. So obviously 3 weeks of this first half was just me in complete shell shock. You know, my host family are lovely, so I do have a lot of fun with them. But you know, implicating sessions itself can be very frustrating. Trying to deal with the difference in knowledge base, again, can be very difficult. Having to speak incredibly slowly so that people understand you and the classes know what you are saying itself can be incredibly difficult. You always feel like you're talking in slow motion, and even then they won't always understand. They don't always listen. They're big classes. We have one class at Knowledge Planet, which is great, a form 3 and 4. They're all about 16. They're about 16 to 20 something, depending on how they've graduated through high school. And there's 58 of them. So 58 teenagers and young adults is obviously can be a bit of a challenge. And trying to teach some serious topics as well. So yeah, I don't want to sound all negative and like I regret coming here, because I don't. That's not the case, but people before coming here need to realise that it's a very different society and that will pose a lot of challenges, and it does open your eyes to a different side of the world, to different cultures, to different ways of life. You know, that is true, but if you are anticipating a 100% fun, good time, then maybe you need to think about and question whether coming here is a good idea. Obviously, travelling as a tourist to Zimbabwe may be completely different. That's, you know, I haven't experienced that side of it. That's not what I'm doing. You know, I'm working. So I'm not saying don't come to the country. That's completely unfair. I'm just saying, if you're coming here specifically for this, you know, really think about why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. You know, this, especially Zimbabwe, I think out of the countries that Restless Development work in, I think it's the only politically sensitive country to this scale. You can't ignore it, and that does impact how people live their lives and how society runs. That's just a fact. So yeah, this has been kind of the first half of my journey. I was ill at the beginning and I'm ill again now, which is unbelievably typical of me. I have the worst luck. So hopefully take the Cipro and the antibiotics and get better. I will let you know how that goes. And then the others will probably go for mid-term training and see the others, including the lot from Chimani and catch up. However, I don't think I'm well enough to travel 5 hours on a coach. Well, a minibus to Chimani. So I'm going to have to see how that goes. And then it's going to be hopefully doing the decision that's best for me, seeing how I recover, if I recover fully. And if I do, and I feel that it's the right decision to stay, then we can move on with our project at Ishineshu, which is a disability school, and try and make a difference there. So, yeah, I will keep you updated as per usual, and hopefully next time I will be a lot better and not feel so awful, but there should be celebration in the fact that I do not have a tropical killer disease, so yay for that. See you next time. Okay, so it's been, I think, 2 weeks since I updated last. I've spent actually this entire time basically being ill, which hasn't been ideal. So there's not actually much to catch up on. I'm better now, which is good, but I had to have several blood tests and go to the doctor several times, and I've been on and off different medication. So it's been quite a whirlwind in terms of kind of seeing the doctors, going to hospital, going to the pharmacy, that kind of thing. The one thing I've been really lucky with though is obviously, as I've said before, my host family. They've just been the absolute best, and they're just the kindest people ever, and really supportive, and I'm happy in my host home, which doesn't always happen. So I've just had a nice time kind of chilling and trying to get back on my feet and rebuild my strengths, and kind of I've used the time to reflect on my time here and what I want to achieve kind of the rest of the weeks while I'm here as well. It hasn't always been easy. Being ill away from home is never easy. You do get homesick and you want your own bed and your own friends, and it can be quite tough, especially when you're sharing a bed when you're ill, because obviously people are at different schedules and you want more rest than you can have, and it's just kind of just a lot harder. But yeah, I think I've gotten there eventually. The last couple of days has been kind of my first day is getting back on my feet and kind of going out. So me and Chloe went out yesterday. We went up to the community hall just to see if there was anything going on, because the schools aren't in session at the moment. They have all of April off for Easter, so we're a little bit stuck about what to do for sessions, because our normal student base obviously isn't there. So we thought we'd take a wander up to the community hall to try and see if there's some sports teams, try and figure out kind of what's going on. Unfortunately, over the last 2 days, it seems to be that me and Chloe seem to have like a attraction magnet for drunk men. So yesterday we had this man who was incredibly impaired from drinking. He just tried to follow us, and we couldn't really understand him, and he wouldn't go away, and it was just quite annoying. It's kind of, I would say, I've been here 2.5 months, and I've only had 3 occasions of people actually following us and kind of being a bit more kind of there. Normally it's just kind of yells from combis or as you walk past, which, I knew was going to happen. It's not ideal, it's not always great. It can wear you down and annoy you. It depends what mood you're in. It certainly doesn't show respect, and it does take some time to try and just accept that it's going to be there, and you can't react the way that you might do at home, because otherwise you'd be reacting every 5 seconds. But the kind of, I would call it harassment that you do get, I would not accept at home. I would be quite vocal about it. But here you just kind of keep your head down and keep going, because it happens all the time, so just kind of ignore it. But yeah, no, when they're a bit more kind of in your face, it's just annoying. So we did have that, but we managed to escape thanks to a friendly combi driver who gave us a lift for free, because some of them do that. Some of them, if we're
just going somewhere close by, they'll be like, "Oh, jump in for free," which is kind of helpful. So we got away, and me and Chloe got to community hall, and we walked in, and there was like 200 plus people there, and we were like, okay, something's going on. So it turned out that it was grain distribution from the government for the vulnerable. So the people that basically had no food, the government kind of, for the very vulnerable, try and provide grain every month so they can cook like basic food for their family. The majority there were elderly women, actually. There were some characters. They were really lovely. They were really surprised to see me and Chloe, two white girls at grain distribution, I think is a new one. They're really friendly, and they're really tough, really strong women. You can just tell. I mean, their handshakes literally shook off my arm, like carrying all that grain or wheeling it in the wheelbarrows, because people will bring their entire wheelbarrow and then they put the grain in the wheelbarrow and then they wheel it off. And they'll walk with it for a good, like, over half an hour by themselves, And so that was really interesting, just to meet different people in the community we haven't actually met before, because we've dealt a lot with the young, but we haven't really interacted much with the older community. So that was really lovely. Unfortunately, though, me and Chloe wanted to help, basically, the social services distribute grain, and just help out any way we were needed, because we work alongside the social services anyway. And initially, the people were like, "Oh yeah, come help. Can you do this, this, and this?" So me and Chloe were getting involved. But unfortunately, the district administrator checked that it was okay that we were there with the main government in Harare, and it came back that me and Chloe were not allowed to help at all, due to the fact that we were from a foreign NGO, which was really quite sad and quite infuriating, because we were able-bodied, we wanted to help, we wanted to do this nice thing, for the community, and basically help these elderly women get food, and the government decided we couldn't do it because we were foreign and from an NGO, and that's just like a small sample of a much bigger problem. I think I don't really want to get too political, because it's not necessarily the right platform for me to do it. But it is a kind of a small indication of a much bigger problem. NGOs aren't necessarily all that welcome here from international countries, as they are viewed as trying to convert the Zimbabwe people to our customs and our way of life, and we would be challenging what they see as their culture and their way of life, if that makes sense. It's quite hard to talk about it without being political. So that was a real shame. Me and Chloe were quite annoyed by that, but obviously understood. And obviously due to the police presence, couldn't actually just kind of get involved anyway and kind of disregard the rules. So we watched, basically. We sat in the sun and watched, and kind of took in the atmosphere, because obviously it's not every day you're at an African grain distribution event. It's kind of the stereotypical kind of view of Africa, isn't it? People, the elderly and all these people walking with their wheelbarrows to get, handouts of grain, and then walking all the way back to feed their families. So yeah, that was kind of an insight into the culture, into the way of life here in Zimbabwe, that we just kind of stumbled across, really, and I think we were quite lucky to do so. So yeah, it's kind of not really much has been happening other than that, really, because obviously I've been ill. Me and Chloe decided to cook for my family as well last night. So we made carbonara, Italian carbonara, and kind of we had like this big meal with all my family here in Zimbabwe. So I think there was 10 of us around a tiny the tiny table. So that was really lovely, kind of very relaxing, you know, bonding time with the host family here and with Chloe and kind of our entire team kind of getting involved. But yeah, just kind of 3.5 weeks to go. So just kind of seeing it through to the end now. There's kind of, yeah, there's been some challenges, I'm not going to lie, in Team Harare. I'm still here, and I still want to be here, but I can honestly say that I will welcome going home in 3.5 weeks. It's been a tough road. It's been a frustrating road. We've still got one more campaign to do. And we also still want to decorate this disability centre, disability school, but there's been complications with that politically. So we're still waiting to see if we can actually do that. So yeah, just getting through each day, trying not to get ill again, and seeing what I can achieve with the rest of my time here, because I feel like the rest of it's kind of flown by, and yeah, I'd quite like to achieve some more when it comes to the community. Personally, I think I've grown a lot. I think I've learnt some things. I've learnt, you know, how to deal with certain situations. I think I've learnt how tough I am, really. It's not always been easy. Some really, really hard moments, I'm not going to lie. So it's definitely tested me, for sure. And, you know, whether it be just kind of the environment itself, or as I mentioned, the kind of the constant harassment just wears you down, or difficulties working with different cultures and different approaches that they have. And then obviously I'm living in a different culture, so that's, you know, got new changes, and obviously working in a team, it's kind of been put on you, isn't always easy. You know, whether it be kind of our team of 4, or it be the wider team of 12, for, you know, all of Harare, different societal approaches to things, like not being allowed to hand out the grain, or the constant kind of police presence. So it's been eye-opening, and it's been interesting. And I'm sure I'll never forget it, but counting down the days till I go home and I see my own bed, and have a shower. I really miss showers. I don't think you understand how much I miss showers. I have to plan my showers here, because it's just an effort with the bucket. Obviously boiling the water to put in the bucket, and then the place, the room is a bit dark as well, so you kind of have to think things through methodically. And hair as well, because obviously out here a lot of them wear weaves and braids, and they don't wash their hair. They don't wash the weaves and the braids. Obviously we do. So, you know, they didn't actually have any advice for how to do your long hair in a bucket. So I think a couple of us have been trying to figure out the best and easiest way to do our hair. So it takes quite a lot of effort and quite a lot of time. So yeah, that would be some advice. If you've ever thought about cutting your hair, cut your hair before you know you're going to be having bucket baths, because long hair is a nightmare when having bucket baths. That's one piece of advice I would give you. But yeah, excited to see my friends, excited to see my family. Yeah, so I will keep you updated. Hopefully next weekend I'll have a bit more to say, and we will have done some more things, because obviously not much has happened because I've been ill. But yeah, really thankful for the NHS right now. I'm not accustomed to paying for medical treatment. So that's the other thing that makes you realise being ill away from home is how much we need to treasure the NHS, because it really is a blessing in disguise. even if you do have some difficulties at times. So yeah, I will see you next week.